Today I'm going to show you how to take a portrait with a little bit of a difference, like this. And the beauty of doing it this way is that there's no contact whatsoever. No one's harmed, it's all a little bit of fun. So I was thinking of doing a normal self-portrait shoot and showing you how I go through the process. But then I had the idea of doing something different. And after messing around in front of the camera, doing a bit of a wobbly face, I came up with this idea. Also, after watching one of the slow-mo guys' videos of where a ball hits Dan in the face, and in slow-mo you could see all of the distortion. And I was wondering how I could get a photograph of that distortion without a lot of Photoshop and without getting hit in the head with a football or a fist. Now I've linked their channel at the end of this video, so watch all of this and then go and see their stuff after it if you haven't seen it already. But they do some amazing stuff with these amazing high-speed cameras. Now this is a little bit of fun and the editing is basic, but it will introduce you to masking and layering in Photoshop. And you never know, you might get a fun new profile pic out of it, or at least something that you and your friends can have a laugh at. Now, if you don't want to take the photographs, or if you don't have any flashes to hand, I've provided all of the raw files in the link in the description below, so you can follow along with the editing part. But if you do have some flashes, I definitely recommend trying this out, as it is a lot of fun. First of all, you need to get a photograph of your face. If you have one light, I'll show you how to set that up. And if you have multiple lights, I'll show you a few different setups for those as well. So no matter how many flashes you have, you can still get a good photo to work with. Also, if you don't have any diffusion or softboxes yet, I'd recommend getting the Godox 60cm softbox and bracket. They come in a kit and it's really good. So it's basically this one. It's a square one and it folds down and you can roll it up. But this is really good. And it comes with one of these Bowens mount brackets. So as you build your kit up, you can keep this. It clamps the flash in here. And with the Bowens mount, you can fit all different types of softboxes and diffusers on this. And also, you just need a couple of light stands. These softboxes are really affordable, and I got mine for around about £30 with the bracket and the softbox and the diffusers. It actually has 2 layers of diffusion in it, so it gives a really nice soft light. I'm also going to be using the 85mm prime. If you don't have that, just use what you've got. And if you've got the kit lens, make sure you're at the 70mm end, so the longer telephoto end. This is great for portraits and you'll get a really nice shot. And we're going to be shooting at f8 as well, so it doesn't have to be a fast lens. So for this project, this is the setup I'm going to use. I've got that Godox 60cm softbox on the AD200. Obviously that talks wirelessly to the X1 I have on top of my camera. With the camera, I've got the A7 III and the 85mm f1.8. And obviously because it doesn't have a flippy screen, I can't see what it's photographing. So what I've done is I've connected that up to a monitor down here so I can see exactly what's going on the back of the camera, from settings to how it's all framed up. If you don't have this, what you need to do is grab a family member and get them to stand where you're going to be so you can frame it up and get all of your settings right, and then you switch over. Then you get them to press the shutter button, or you get them to frame you up and make sure you're in the right place before starting to take the photographs. Another thing is, because that camera is so far away, you will need a wireless remote trigger as well. So I have this one from Pixel Pro, and it's the TW283. And this will mean I can take a photo just by pressing this button. Also, in this exercise, I'm going to have the camera on rapid fire. So with this, I can press and hold the shutter button and that'll fire off a sequence of shots. Again, if you don't have a wireless remote, or if you can't get close enough to use your wired remote, what you need to do is put it on a timer. Next, we're going to talk about camera settings. I'm going to put it at 1/200th of a second, f8 and ISO 100. I'll have the camera in manual and I'll have the flash in manual as well. And then I'll put my flash on 1/4 power. I always start at these settings and then I can play with those settings and work out what works and what doesn't and what I need to change. If you're not sure about using a flash, go to my other video on flash photography basics. I'll link it up in the corner. And one other thing, you want to put it in drive mode so it'll take a sequence of shots when you hold down that shutter button. Also, because I don't want any ambient light in the shot, I've got the curtains and the window behind me, so I'm going to close the curtains. With the light, you want it around about 45 degrees from the camera angle, and then you want it up and looking down on you. And you want to get it as close as possible. At 60 centimeters, it's quite a small softbox, so the closer you get it, the better. So I've got it at 45 degrees to me. I just want to raise it up a little bit so it's not in the frame. One other thing I forgot to mention is if you are doing this on your own, what you want to do is maybe get a bit of tape on the floor and put a T mark where your feet should be. Then you'll stand in exactly the same place every single time. So I've got my light up here, 45 degrees up and 45 degrees from the camera angle. So now when I stand here, I know that if I have my tiptoes up against that T with the line in the middle, I'm going to be in exactly the same place and I'm going to be bang in the middle with the frame. Now to film this, I've got my light in the background and that's causing a lot of ambient light. I don't want that to be in the shot, so I'm just going to check it. So I'll switch my flash off, and with those settings at 1/200th of a second, f8 and ISO 100, I want to make sure it's pitch black. So I can see from the shot there that it's pitch black, so I know I'm not going to get any of that ambient light in. I'll just check the power on my flash, and then I'll start taking some photographs. When you're first doing this setup, it might be worth switching it back onto single shot instead of in that drive mode, because it took 3 shots then, and if you keep doing that, it will eat up the battery of that flash. With this flash, what you can do is pull it closer until it's just out of the frame. So I'll bring it there, it's just poking into the frame. But because I'm going to have that background completely black, it doesn't matter if this corner bit does nip into the frame just a little bit, because it's quite easy to edit that out. But remember, the closer that flash is to you, the better lit you'll be and the softer that light will be, and it'll wrap around you really nicely. So I'm going to try it about there. With the first shot, the flash has lit the background as well as me. So I want to drop the power and I want to stop as much light getting to those curtains in the background and bouncing back and lighting that part of the frame. I want everything around me to be pitch black. And then that'll make it easier to edit afterwards. So I've put the flash on 1/8 power and we'll see what that's like now. So that's a little bit better, but one side of my face is lit really well and the other side is really dark. So I need to do something about that. So I'm going to bring my flash a little bit further round to probably about 20 degrees from the angle of the camera. Now the problem with this is it's really encroaching in on the shot. So I'm going to raise it up a little bit more. Right, we'll try that. I quite like the look of this now. So now comes the fun bit, and this is the wobbly face bit. You'll have a good laugh doing this, and when you see the images come through, it is quite funny. So all you need to do is relax your face and shake your head from side to side, a little bit like a dog would. So this is going to get a bit weird, but keep watching. Now I forgot to turn the camera on to drive mode, so I'm just going to switch it back to that. So relax your face and just start shaking it like a dog. Whoa. You can get some really good, you can get some really funny images with this, and you can get some really funny portraits. But what we're going for is as if someone's just punched me and my whole face is moving across to one side. No one's actually hitting anyone. We're just trying to recreate that. So keep doing it. So get focus, start shaking. That's a really good one. One other thing I really like is when you open your eyes quite wide and you almost, if you can, go cross-eyed with it as well. Next, we're going to take the shots of your fist. So what I'll do is get out of the frame and take a picture of my arm and fist so I can Photoshop that in afterwards. So what you want to do is get focus and then take the shot. With this, if you take lots of different angles, you can find the one that works best for you. If you've got all of these different frames to work with, then you can pick the best one. Also, if you do it on both sides, if you get a good one way or the other, it doesn't matter. You've got a picture of your fist coming in from one side and then the other. So just vary the angle, get lots of shots, and then you can pick the best one. You basically want to pick the best one of your face when you're doing that wobbly face, and then pick the best fist that'll make it look the most convincing. And one more thing, what you want to do is take one with your fist in the frame, so then you can get a reference as to how the shadow will look. So I'm going to do that now. So next we just need to import those images. Got them on my SD card, I've plugged that in, transferred them across to my hard drive. So I'm just going to add them to Lightroom. So all you're going to do is flick through them and use the star rating to choose the ones that you like. So I've got them all here, and and you can see they're pretty ridiculous and really funny. So I quite like that one. So what I'm going to do is put a 2-star rating on any one that I like. That's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. And as you can see, you get some really freaky images. But yeah, it's a little bit of fun, and we need that right now, hey. That's quite a good one. That's a really good one. If you find a really good one, what you want to do is put a 3-star on it. To star your images, all you need to do is press between 1 and 5 on your keyboard. So I'm pressing 2 for the ones I like, and pressing 3 for the ones that I really like. Then do the same with the arm shots. Star the ones you like with 2 stars, and for the really good ones, give them 3 stars. Once you've done that first stage of selection, where I've got all the 2-star images and all the 3-star images, what you want to do is come down here to Filter and click on 2 stars. This will mean it will only show those images that are 2 stars or higher. So I've got all my 2 and 3 stars along the film strip along the bottom, and none of the other ones. So we've got all these ones. I quite like that one as well. So what I've done is I've found the one that I'm going to use, and I'll put a 4-star on it. So that's the one that I want. And I want the fist coming in from the left-hand side. So we'll ignore those, and then we'll put, which one's the best one? This one, I think. So we'll go 4 on that one. So now on this filter at the bottom, I'm going to select 4 stars, and it'll show me my face and the fist. So hold down Shift and select them both. Right click on them, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. So now we've got those 2 images in Photoshop. What I'm going to do is click on the fist layer and drag it to the top. You need that on the top because I'm going to delete all of the black area, or I'm going to mask out all of that black area, and then that'll reveal the face shot below it. The way to do this is go up to the quick selection tool. If you don't have it in this bar, click and hold on it, and it'll give you a drop down menu. So if you have the magic wand, click and hold on that and select quick selection tool. This is a really good tool. Now, as I was selecting all of that black area, it's actually selected my arm as well. So what I'm going to do now is hold down Option or Alt if you're on a PC. And as you can see, it's put a minus sign in that circle. So now I'm going to select my fist. I'm going to slowly go over it, and it will select more and more of my fist. If it goes too much like that, let go of Option and Alt, and then add to that mask again. So you can see I'm just adding to it. Now this doesn't matter too much. You just want to get as much of your arm as possible and as little of that black area as possible. I'm going to select that for now, and then I'm going to work from here. As I've selected the black area, but I want my fist selected, I'm going to switch the layers. So I'm going to go Select and Inverse. And this means it selected my arm instead. Now I'm going to go to Select, Modify, and Feather. I'm going to give it a feather radius of 10 pixels. All this does is feather that edge in, and it means it's not just a harsh pixelated edge. Next, I'm going to come down to this bottom right-hand corner and click on Add Layer Mask. Now, it's not brilliant. So straight away, you can see it looks like I'm punching myself in the face without being punched at all, because no one wants to get punched, and I don't condone anyone getting punched at all. This is just a fun exercise. But there is a problem with this, and because I don't have much light on my arm, this dark bit at the bottom of my arm kind of disappears, and I lose that bit before seeing my t-shirt in the background. So we're going to click on curves in the adjustments panel, and this will bring up a curves layer. Right click on this and create clipping mask. And this will mean that curves layer will just affect the fist layer. What I want to do is be able to see all of my arm. I'm going to really push this up so I can delete all of this area that I don't need. So I'll zoom in. So that curves layer has really overexposed my fist, but I'm just doing this as a temporary basis so I can see where the bottom of my arm stops. So next I'm going to click on the layer mask of the fist layer. Make sure your palettes are black and white. Select the brush tool and then make sure black is on the top. To switch these two, you can press X. I want to delete this bit here. So I want to paint in black on the mask. It's really important that you have your mask selected at this point. Otherwise you'll just paint black onto the actual image. So make sure this mask is selected, and then start painting out this bit along the bottom. Now, if you want to change the size of your brush, use the square brackets. Also, if you want to change the hardness of that, hold down Shift and use the square brackets. So I'm going to press all the way to the left. And if I click up here, you can see the hardness is down to 0. That's all you're changing. So I'm just going to brush away that background around the fist, and then along my arm. And then you can also use the Command or Control plus and minus to zoom in and out. I think that's all right. So what I'll do is click on this eye on the curves layer, and that will bring it back to the normal color. As the light is on the right hand side of the image and my fist is coming in from the left side of the image, there should be a shadow on my shirt on my right hand shoulder. And this is why I took these reference shots. So you can see here, there's a dark shadow. So what we're going to have to do is emulate this shadow on the image in Photoshop. So we'll go back to Photoshop. And what I'll do is by holding down Option or Alt and dragging up, I can duplicate this bottom layer. Now with this extra layer that I've made, I'm going to call this shadow. I'll actually name all of the layers right now, because sometimes as you get more and more layers, it can get quite confusing. So if you get into the habit of naming your layers, you'll know which one's which. So come down to Layer Mask, hold down Option or Alt and click on it. And it will give you a black mask. So making sure the brush tool is selected, and this is on white, so I'll press X to change the palettes around. I need to just select an area here. It needs to be completely soft, so I'll make sure the hardness is at 0. Might make it a bit bigger, so I'm going to use my square brackets. All I'm going to do is paint a swoosh. So what I did then was paint on the image, and I didn't have the mask selected. So it painted on a white swoosh on the actual image, and that's not what we want. So if you are working with layer masks, it's really important to make sure the actual mask is selected and not the image. As you can see on the mask, I've got that shadow. This doesn't have to be too accurate. And once I drop the brightness of this layer by using a clipping mask, we'll then see and we'll be able to refine and tune that shadow until it looks natural. So making sure this shadow layer is selected, then click on curves again, right click on them, create clipping mask, because we only want this to affect the shadow. So we just want to create a shadow, and very quickly with just a little swoosh, it's made it a little bit more realistic, but we can work on that and we can make it better. So again, select the layer mask, make sure white is selected, and we can paint in a bit more. And if you want to take away a little bit, now with just that little bit of editing, you can see it does look a little bit better with that shadow underneath it. Now, as we've got them as layers as well, you can change where that fist is. I quite like where it is now, but you can move it around if you want. If you want to do that, click on the Move tool, make sure the fist is selected, and then move it to where you want it. So you can put it wherever you want to on that image. Maybe it's a bit better up there. You can also rotate it with this as well. So we'll put it there. Now the fist is quite bright and it stands out quite a lot. So I want to drop the brightness on that just a little bit. We've already got that curves layer. It's already a clipping mask. So double click on that. Oh yeah, we've got that. So click on that little tab and delete it because that was way too bright. Then what I'm going to do is just bring it down and up the contrast just a touch. Next, what I'm going to do is use the crop tool, which is this one here. I'm going to bring these edges in a little bit and I'll make the image a bit more square. Now you might want to put motion blur on the fist as well to make it look like it's really flying in. And there's a way to do that in Photoshop as well. What I'm going to do is select both the fist and the layers curve, hold down Option, click on the layer and drag it up. This will duplicate both of those layers. I'm going to hide these two layers by clicking on the eye. And this means that I've got a layer just in case I mess the motion blur up or I mess that layer up too much. I've got the base layer that I can go back to if I make any mistakes. I always do this if I'm trying any kind of experimental looks. So then just select the fist layer, go to Filter, Blur, and Motion Blur. Now with this angle, make sure it's the same as the angle of your arm. This will give the right direction to the motion blur. Then with the distance pixels, make sure it's between 80 and around about 140 to get good motion blur. So you can have it with motion blur on or motion blur off. And because you duplicated that layer, you have the two options and you can look at them side by side. So that's the one with motion blur. And then this is the one without. I actually prefer it without motion blur. So now we've done that, we're just going to save the image. So now we have that image and it does look quite funny. These are the little things that amuse me anyway when I'm trapped at home. So I'll just try and come up with different ideas to take different photos. I had a lot of fun doing this one. Now, if you've got two flashes, what you can do is set one up in front of you, which we've already done, which is the key light, and then have a hair light as well. So we're going to see what this is like and see how it works. My key light is at 1/8 power and my hair light is at 1/16 power. Now just going to see what I can get with this setup. Now I do have my hair light in the frame a little bit. This isn't too bad because I can edit it out. As long as that hair light is not encroaching on where I'm going to be framed, it's okay, we can get rid of that. So again, start doing the wobbly face thing. Now this is really funny, the things that you get, and if you've got a monitor, you'll actually see the last shot that you get. So I'll just take a few more with this setup and then I'll get them onto the computer. Now this is all just a little bit of fun. So I've got a few that I really like. Next I need to do the fist coming in. So I'm going to use my own fist, or if you've got someone else with you, you can use theirs. And all you're going to do is hold it in place. So you get a nice, clean, crisp image of that. Now, if you've got boxing gloves, you can use those as well. And that will add to almost the comedic side of this shot. Now, if you are using a boxing glove or when you're taking a picture of your fist, what you need to do is take it at different angles. Now, we can take this one step further, but this is where it could get messy and you really need to watch what's going on around you. What I'm going to do is get a mouthful of water, and as I shake my head, water's going to come out of it. So make sure you've got plenty of towels on the floor, Or if you've got a carpet inside, go outside. We've got tiled floors and I've put a towel down, so it should be all right. But let's see how this pans out. So that kind of worked, but I've got to do it again and we'll see. Now in shaking my head, it doesn't quite work out. So I've got another idea. So basically what I was doing was facing that way and splattering the water out. So then I've got water with the black background and then I can Photoshop that in afterwards. So we're gonna build up a composite using all of these different elements to try and make it look as real as possible. So this is the setup with 2 lights because we can see that second light in the background that I used as a hair light. So straight away I've got a really good one. So again, I'm going to use the star rating, so I'll select that, put 2 stars on it. That one's a really good one. So that's a good one, so I'll put that one as 3. I think that's it. So we've got a few there. Then find a suitable fist photo by rating the ones you think will work. And then, so you can see when I had a mouthful of water, when I shook my head, that didn't work too well. Whereas I've got these ones, where are they? With the water, we might be able to layer it up and have a few different ones. So I'll select the 2 stars or greater on the filter. So I just want these ones. So I think it's between this one and that one. That one's better. So yeah, we'll choose that one. And then we want the fist coming in from the left-hand side. So I'm going to choose this boxing glove and that fist one. Then we'll get the water one and I'm going to select all 3. So I've got those as well. So then I click on 3, all 3 water ones, all the 2 fists and the wobbly face one. So we're selecting all of those, right click, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. So we're going to use the same technique as we did in the first round, but it's a little bit more complex because we've got more layers. So I'm going to go through this quite quickly and hopefully you can follow along. And if not, you can pause it and rewind it and watch a bit again. So keep watching until you get what I'm doing. I'm going to move the face one down to the bottom and then we've got the boxing glove, the fist, and then the 3 water ones as well. So I'm going to work on the water ones last and I'm going to work on the fist one first. I'm going to select my quick selection tool. I'm just going to select my arm. So I'm going to do it the opposite way around. So we'll select that. As you can see, it is selecting it, but because the light drops off on the underside of my arm, it's finding it hard to pick that bottom line up. So again, hold down Option or Alt, so you've got that minus in the brush tool, and sort of brush through here. And then let go, and then paint in the arm again. And keep working on it until you get it where you want it. Again, with the selection, modify, feather by 10 pixels. Now I've done that, click on the masking tool, that puts the fist in place. So you can see with this one, straight away it's in the wrong place. So I'll go up to my move tool, I've got that fist layer selected, and I'm going to move that across to here. This one's a little bit more blurry around the edge and it's a little bit more jaggedy. So I don't think this is the best one to use. So if it does give this soft edge, you can harden it up quite a bit. So if we go into it, select your mask, select your brush tool, and we've got white selected. So I'm going to make that a lot smaller. I'm just going to paint in that edge, just to make it a little bit more convincing. It just looks a little bit odd. Also, with the brightness of the fist, I'm going to change that like I did before as well. So I'll select the fist layer and I'll click on curves. Very quickly create clipping mask. So it just affects this layer below it and nothing more. And I'll drop the brightness of that. I also want to get rid of this light. Spot healing brush tool. I'm going to see if this works quickly. So I'll go to the layer that I want to work on. I'm going to make that fist layer disappear. What I want to do is just quickly paint over that and see if it can get rid of it. Come on. Hey, there we go. So the spot healing brush tool can get rid of things like that really quickly. And because it's got a lot of other background to work from, it does get rid of it quickly. Also, I've got this other light, the key light up here. That's in the shot as well. So I'm going to paint over that and see if it gets rid of that. And that's gone as well. Now I'll bring back in the fist. So with the water layers, bring them up to the top. Now, because we've got quite a few more layers in this, it's important to name those layers so you don't get confused what is what. So I'll do that now. So that's face on the bottom. This one's fist. That's boxing glove. Water 2, water 3. What I want to do with this is just select this water area here. I'm going to go to selection and go to color range. Yeah. So what I've done is I've selected the t-shirt area, so it's selecting the whiter bits. And then I'll click on OK. So you can see it's selected a lot of my face, but it's also selected a lot of this bit, and that's what I want. So I'm going to get my lasso tool, hold down Option or Alt, and then it's got that minus tool next to the lasso. So I'm going to get rid of all of this. So that minus tool means it's getting rid of everything else. So you can see now just this area is selected. Now if I click on mask, that water's coming out of my eye. So select that, move tool. Let's see if it works. It might not work, but just have a go at lining it up with your mouth. You can also change the blend mode, which is this drop down menu here, and select lighten or screen, whichever works better. So now I just need to refine that area around my mouth as if it's coming out of my mouth. So select the mask on that layer again, and then the brush tool, and make sure this is on black, because what we're going to do is paint around the lips a little bit. We're going to darken this bit off. Might move it a little bit further in as well. Let's see what the fist looks like with motion blur on it. I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to hide these two layers by clicking on the eye, and with this bottom one, filter, blur, motion blur. Now it does look a little bit ridiculous, but you can work on these Photoshop principles to get it looking as realistic as possible. Get that shadow in underneath the arm to make that look like it should be in place, and then get the water coming out as well. So I'm going to save that, and then I'll go back to Lightroom. Then all I'm going to do is go to the develop module and edit it. So there you go. A really funny image and a really funny portrait. And if you like it and you're daring enough, you can use this as, say, your profile picture on Facebook or things like that. You never know, you might see this on my profile soon. Now go and have a play around with this and let me know how you get on in the comments below. And if you do get some good shots, post them on my Facebook group, which I'll link in the description as well. And if you're not already a member of this, just sign up. The link will take you to that if you aren't a member. But if you are a member, try this out and post your photos. It'd be great fun seeing what you guys can produce. Now to learn more about Photoshop, click on this next video here. And for a tutorial on flash photography, click on this video down here. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for weekly tutorials in photography. I'll see you next time.